Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. How are you all doing? What's going on? Today will be the last day that you see this guy, Mr. Denim Jack, on stream, as I'll go through the last little bits of metallics and pretty much finish him up. Off stream I might put in the grenade that one of the viewers suggested for a little bit of a fun added to the model, a little bit of a storytelling and whatnot. Yeah, this will be the last time we'll be seeing him before the ready fix. After that we are moving on to the possible leader of the gang. Still no idea how to exactly call him. Razorhead something probably. Took my time yesterday to base his silver metallics, and considering that it took the time of pretty much about a stream, I'm pretty happy that I didn't do it on stream, you know. So he will be the last of the already built dudesters. And after we're done with him, we will be moving on to some building streams where I will be putting together about 4 more dudesters for shits and giggles to get a somewhat ready gang to be prepared for a possible game of Necromunda. But enough about that. What's up with you guys? How's it been going? What's happening? Has anyone checked out the upload of the stream? Do you think that there is a point to its existence? Or am I just spending a few more hours of upload? Either way, that will show for itself. Now, what are we going to do? Well, there are 2 options. Naturally, we're going for metallics, but how do we go about it for the silver metallics? I want to put 2 layers on top of the base coat of metallic, medium, and black, which I find to be a fairly good way to work about it. What's up, Agent? What up? So options here will be a initial layer of the switching of focus was going to kill me. Nothing. Well, better than something bad, so, you know, could be worse. So either we go dark silver, or alternatively we go for the good old lead belcher. So let's try and compare the 2 real quick. So technically lead belcher is a brighter metallic, but without being vulgar. Okay. Well, dick can also happen technically. So I think I'll go with this and then build a brighter metallic over this for a final highlight. So let's see how that would work. we'll get sufficient differences between the layers, or if it'll just be, again, as usual, almost an unrecognizable layer of color. Today, unlike most other days, I actually have some news. And to prove that I am trying to be more professional about what I do, I've actually have them written down. Whoop-de-doo. Because, you know, there's 5 of them. Wow, okay. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, the first bit of news is probably the only one that's of actually any interest to you. It is that I got a hold of Richard, and we have scheduled our game for next Tuesday. Still waiting to figure out where or when exactly in terms of hours, but it's gonna happen next week, Tuesday. So we can finally get this whatchamacallit, playoffs in motion. Which will be interesting considering that I checked and the last game of Blood Bowl I played was March 10 against Ammo's Goblins. So it'll be interesting to see how much time it'll take to actually remember what it was that I was doing. I did check on my team, so... Yeah, I actually checked that out as well. I think it was somewhere in February. Yeah, it has been a while for all of us. Let me switch the focus again, I think. That is true. It's a matter of which dice were you supposed to run at any, or were you supposed to roll at any given moment? Well, this is weird, I think. Okay, underdid it a little bit here. Interesting. Yeah, that that may be a little bit. It's actually darker than the hodgepodge I came up with. That's interesting. Alright then, never mind. We're going to Lead Belcher. Voucher followed by silver or probably Runefang steel. Because Iron Breaker is just too little of a change. Yeah. Much as I didn't want to do it because Runefang Steel is a fairly shitty color to work with. Well, my pot of, yeah, you can see as it slushes that it is completely separated. And that's gonna be fun. Anyway, second bit of news. Well, that's just for me to share that in my everlasting search for a decent varnish, came around something from the AK range called Ultramat, and it is apparently the ambrosia of matte varnishes, and it's also acrylic, so I can just slap that on the model. So we'll still have the two-step varnish, but if it is a strong matting effect as I would expect, I can freely go with a can of semi-gloss over it first. And then see how that works. Yeah, AK is a manufacturer for not only... No, it's not the AK that you're thinking. Yeah. They make a lot of stuff for scale models. So, tanks and military scale stuff, you know the stuff, you know what I'm referring to. And it was actually in Genuine Vision's stream where he mentioned that, and it really got my attention. It also comes in a fairly large container, so if it works, I'll have for a lot of time. So fingers crossed, it should come in about a couple of weeks. And we can check it out. See how it works. Fairly optimistic, so fingers crossed. I haven't been getting the best results with the enamel wash. So it works well if it's just it, as I've previously rambled on and on. It's fairly abrasive to the paint, to acrylic paint. So it's a a bit risky to apply it directly. And I tried it with the semi-gloss spray rattle can as a initial layer. I tried it with the Vallejo dull coat as an initial layer, but there is still a bit too much gloss for me to be comfortable with. Next item of business, talking point, whatever. The pledge manager for the Wolfenstein game came out yesterday. So I got to finalize my order, pay for shipping and all that stuff. Also, check out what actually comes into the kit. And let me tell you, it's a lot of stuff. So without shipping, it was $120, and shipping was $23 extra. But the number of models inside is staggering. And it's also a complete standalone board game with... It comes with 3 expansions. It comes with its boards and tokens, and I'm actually fairly excited about it. I had forgotten a little bit about it over the time, and its delivery date is this time next year, so it's gonna be a while before I get to see anything of it. But quite frankly, I do prefer it to be that way, like with a longer estimate for delivery rather than a shorter one, and then get angry and frustrated about delays. And when you see the size of this freaking thing, you will understand why. Also, I got it without the extra terrain because it's a bit garbage. Like, it's just a few walls and floor tiles. So it isn't really that much affecting of anything. And I'll have to do massive touch-ups. Okay. And it's a 5-kilogram package. $5 kilos worth of stuff inside. So, considering that this is pretty much the price of a well-made Blood Bowl team. It is, yeah. Admittedly, most of it is probably the cardboard cutouts for the tokens and the playmats. They said that they have made special arrangements with was it FedEx? I think it's FedEx. And ultimately they were able to drop down, which is why the shipping cost is $23, which is unusually high. But yeah, again, considering that this is the price of a relatively good Blood Bowl team of 16 models and maybe some cheerleaders, in terms of special arrangements, I don't know. They just said that they had an additional talk with them and were able to negotiate some discounts for shipping, because they will apparently be shipping in bulk. So if you're just looking at it from bang for buck perspective, it is definitely good. Now, whether or not the game is going to be good or anything like that, I really don't know, but there are very fun models in there. Naturally, there will be board game quality, so they're not really, they won't be super high quality models, but still, I think it's gonna be cool. The bad guys. True. I still haven't gotten around to even start on Gears of War stuff. But I will. You'll see. And I think Emo also made a pledge for the manager, and he did get the terrain as well, so I can only imagine the weight difference. What's interesting is that you could have made the order with pre-assembled models. So you could get them in bits, or you can get them pre-assembled, and same thing goes for the terrain. But that way the cost just ramps up way too much. Oh, and I just thought of a extra thing to talk about. Well, mention really. It's not that much of a discussion topic. Just something interesting I found. There is a local scale modelers shop. I was looking through anything that could grab my eye. Mostly in terms of tools, and something that's always been bothering me when building models is the use of super glue. More precisely, the control of how much to dispense super glue from it. Scale modelers. So again, for scale model tanks, planes, cars, like non-wargaming related stuff. display models. They have all these cool tools and enamel washes and weird stuff that we mostly don't use, but you never know, because they've been around for a lot longer than we have. I don't remember if they have. They probably do. They have a lot of stuff. They even started so loading up some Warhammer stuff and Citadel range paints and tools. You could check them out. It's Hobby Cult. Pretty much one of the oldest shops, I think. Let me send you the link if you don't know it. Some are all pretty much built. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, yeah. It has a very nice web store with most of what they have in there. So I enjoy looking through what they have every now and again. Just out of curiosity's sake. And it's also where I got my first miniature painting gear. Well, maybe not the first, but the Mr. Hobby stuff is where I got from some of the brushes, the vise, like, a lot of stuff. The enamel varnish is from there as well. A lot of thinners. Bunches of stuff, really. They do, yeah. They tried, although I don't think it's good that they now have an idea about what it is, because back when this all started with me particularly, which was about 7 years ago, they had no idea about this stuff, and they were always looking at me very funny when I came around to ask about some particular technical paints or stuff, and they were a bit weirded out that I would need such things. They actually had even some Blood Bowl stuff, but apparently it got sold out. With the new edition coming out, I just got an idea now. I can go over to a few of the retail stores for GW that will have a random rulebook edition or starter set, and I can ask the shop owner or sales clerk or whatever to give them our Facebook group, anyone who buys the starter set, to check out our group if they're interested in getting into the game. Because there are people that are buying it. Yeah, I think so too. And they just disappear from... I mean, whoever does, like... I'm sure that at least one of them will. So shops that come to mind are like Pico Games or Level Up. Naturally, Board Games BG, but I'm not sure if they'll be up to it. And this shop as well, the Hobby Cult one. It doesn't hurt. Like I may print out some cards with the Facebook group for them to join if they have any interest. Like, I'd be fun. Why not? Just have to watch out for the announcement about when the new edition will come out, and I'll make a run through the shops and do that. Anyway, that was an extra. Again, a little bit of wishful thinking, pretty much, but who knows? Even if it brings one person in, it's still better than a kick in the balls, so I will gladly take it. Oh, that's sad. Well, it's just I did find another one, that shop, but unfortunately it's close to the dentist where I go, so it's where I got my Gundam from. But unfortunately, it's now closed. I guess it didn't survive the corona. In theory, I do enjoy the local shops where you can, or clubs where you can go and have a little bit of a chat about stuff, or just see a physical representation of something. Like, there comes a time where I'm tired of looking through online shops, online stores, about everything, but most of the stores no longer carry their full inventory at all times, so it becomes either that or all of them carry the exact same thing, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's take a look. The New Jersey. I had a bigger ship built back in my childhood days. It was a ship called Bosei Maru. It was a Korean ship, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much the same composite of materials. Yeah, it looks okay. Let's see the small bits. Okay, these bits here, these types of bits, are the reason why I am probably never gonna try to build such a thing again. These are way too fiddly. Yeah, decent instructions. Yep, looks okay. do not cement. Okay, so there are snap-on bits. Cool. Yeah, I mean the really, really small wire-like bits. They are the bane of my existence for these models. Why I'm spending so much time looking at this is I'm trying to see if there is any specific sequential build that looks out of order that has been explained as such. Because I've seen things that, for instance, things that you don't build from the bottom up, but you have to pre-build in a different order before attaching it to the main chassis. I'm just trying to see if there is such a possible underwater mine. Oh, it has decals as well. Nice. Yeah, and you can see that it doesn't really need painting. Image shows fully painted. Okay, so it does. Never mind. Never mind. My bad. Right, let me just check back the yeah, there are two colors of plastic. I mean, it's okay. Gunpla models come with pre-painted plastic. So if you don't want to paint it, but you want to have a certain kind of coloration with your completed project, that's a good option if you're into that shit. Mine is still, of course, in the box, gathering dust and shaming me for not getting to it. So the reason I brought up the store, the Hobby Cult store, I found some disposable applicators for super glue that you put as a extra cap over the regular one, or instead of the regular one, for any tube of super glue that you get. So they are universal in terms of size. And I think that's gonna help tremendously with precision gluing, especially for smaller bits. It might be a game changer. So I will again go there, all hopeful, and ask them for a pack of those. Yeah, pretty much. Shame, shame. Listen, if you listen real carefully, you can hear it. Why I have to have music on all the time. So the only thing I'm really hopeful about is that they actually have that in stock. But it is fairly close by anyway, so even if they don't, it's still... A bell monkey! I see what you're going at. I'm gonna stop you right there. The last time I went there to check for something, I was also out and about to check in pretty much every hobby store that I could think of. in that region for the apparently extremely elusive item of a cutting mat. Can you imagine that? I checked maybe 5 stores. None of them had a cutting mat in store. It's such a basic thing to have, and so universal for so many types of hobbies. And anyway, it was weird. Ultimately, I just gave up on the idea and put down this cardboard that you see, as ugly as it is. Yeah. Yeah, I just thought it would be a simple enough item that I could just go over to the store and pick it up. Like, have a walk, go into a hobby store, look around a little bit, get what you need, and get out. Apparently not. And truth be told, I don't really need it that much. I just had an idea and wanted to check it out. It was pretty much just a reason to go out for a walk, really, but still. Fairly weird result that came of it. So, yep, they did not have one. That was the first place I went, actually. Again, it's just very weird. Yeah, the entire region, the entire block. I went through 5 or 6 stores, small and big. Yeah, I know. That's why I decided to centralize my expedition in that area. But to no avail. Not even that, everyone, actually no one knew whether or not they would ever restock this article. And at Hobby Cult, they had a very small one, so about half the size of a regular one, less than A4. Which obviously wouldn't work for me. If I ever need it, I will need to order it, and that's fine, but it's just another one of these cases where you actually know exactly what you want. You know that it is a fairly common item, and I'm not talking about just hobby stuff. Like any article of anything that oftentimes it just doesn't exist as steady stock shops and stores. And I really don't know how to look at it, because either I am this weirdo who always looks for shit that's not there, or everybody already has theirs and this is why there aren't any more. Fuck if I know. But it's really weird, and it's almost every time. So I have my concerns about the glue, the super glue applicators, but I'll still take the time to make the trip. I haven't been over there in a while, and would be a good idea to just have a walk. Next thing on the menu is I've cranked up the resolution for the stream because I've been doing some comparisons in terms of overall stream quality with some of the other creative streams, and most of them have transitioned to a 1080p output. So I've cranked it up in terms of resolution, but I did keep the 30 frames per second refresh rate. So if you are experiencing any unusual quality bullshit in terms of slowdown, let me know if it affects the actual stream like smoothness and choppiness, and if it adds any extra delay. And afterwards I'll check the VOD and see for myself if there's any point to it or not. Because the bitrate is the same. Shouldn't be taxing either way. Nice. And the last thing I have on the card is about a new possible cool Kickstarter. But I will need to show you that, and so I will do it in a little bit, a little while when I stop painting for a little break. It's about sci-fi models that are very close to Necromunda feel. Well, some of them at least. So I can use them as proxies for Goliath's gang or something like that. The Kickstarter still hasn't been announced at all, but it's just something to keep an eye out for. I came by them so we've talked about Emma, we've mentioned several times the YouTube channel Miniac. He's a cool dude from Texas. He has some fun shorts based on miniature painting and stuff, and also some educational videos, how-tos, all that shebang. And he and a friend of his are also having a podcast called Trapped Under Plastic. Funny short clips, not funny underwear. Although there is underwear in one of the clips. So take that as you will. like still animations sometimes of miniatures trying to kill him, or a mob boss catching him, uh, kidnapping him so he can paint his blood angels or something. Requesting the official blood angels paint scheme, color scheme. Stuff like that. And again, pretty interesting in educational and experimental paint jobs, and like just overall interesting stuff to keep an eye out. And I hadn't kept up with the podcasts. So yesterday, while I was painting off stream, I decided to catch up on them a little bit, and it came up. The podcasts are also pretty cool as they try to think of topics that are not regularly mentioned in the hobby world, such as motivation and active participation of learning, and pretty much discussing mindsets and concepts about going about the hobby and improving your skills and maintaining consistency, all sorts of bullshit. But if you're into this kind of stuff, it really fits pretty well, the whole. They also have a Facebook group that is kind of like a community page where they share models with the other group members, but it's strictly hobby and paint stuff. So to make a already extremely long story short, they were sponsored to show off one of the initial prints for the Kickstarter that I mentioned, and this is why I know about its existence. And that's pretty much it. I do too. This is actually a real thing. Like, maybe not slaps in the face, but a little bit of an external push to get the ball rolling is something I've identified I kind of need sometimes. And the existence of this stream is actually working in that way. Like, knowing that it is kind of a scheduled thing, that you have to do it. Well, just my mindset is that I have to do it. And I think that at this point, thanks to this stream, I've managed to paint consistently in terms of regularity for longer than ever before in my life. So, than ever before in the 7 years of my hobbying. And I am fairly happy about that. Yeah, thanks. And this is why I kind of don't want to leave it. Because it does push me to do stuff. And although I am painting with the speed of a quadriplegic snail with a phlegmatic personality, things do get done eventually. And because I don't have very large gaps of not painting, I'm actually able to improve slightly over time. That's pretty cool. So yeah, having the sort of slaps on the face, or just knowing that it's something that you're expected to do, sometimes help. It was the same The speed of an overrun cat, yeah. It was the same back in the day with going to karate class. It was the last thing in the world I wanted to do after school, but the moment, so it was a fairly hard emotional struggle to get myself over there. But the moment I got there, um, I wouldn't, I was in a state that I wouldn't really want to be anywhere else. Like, it was great. So apparently this is just how my stupid mindset works. That I do need to be pushed a little bit in order to get the ball rolling. And this is why I have nothing against being pushed and prodded, like for scheduling games and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, I know that I'm a dumbass that needs to be pushed a little bit. Because at the end of the day, I will enjoy it. Just lazy enough to not to initiate it. Right, well, let's take a bit of a break, have a smoke. Wow, where did an hour already go? I'm nowhere near done. Shit. Okay. Also, now I'm flipping and switching between the autofocus and the manual focus, depending on whether or not the miniature is in frame or if it's just a desk, so you don't get that disgusting smudgy screen. Only problem is that I have to manually switch it, and I might forget to do it, so if I do so, please remind me to switch the focus back. So let me show you the Dark Future Creations stuff. Interestingly enough, they are only on Instagram for the moment, which is not something you'd expect. They usually go full social media and go for Facebooks and Reddits and Discords and whatever. Dark. So this is the model that they showed off. On the podcast that I mentioned, and yeah, it's very cyberpunky, and that's something that directly spoke to me. But looking at this guy, does he not scream Goliath at you? Yeah, the face is weird. What they said is that all the models come with, so it's a single model, but it comes with at least 3 alternatives for heads, weapons, arms, legs. Like, you can build a very different model from the kit that's coming out. Because you look at this guy, and then you look at the concept art. So this is again something you can build from the same kit, because you can see the pose is overall the same, but it's a different head and it's a different weapon and arms. And my thinking is that I can for instance, get something for Necromunda, for a leader, for the Goliaths, or something along those lines. This is the one that they ended up printing. Again, this is the alternative head. And this is apparently the box that it will come in. It does, doesn't it? Like, very classic cyberpunk, very 80s anime with the overabundance of cables all around. This is another one of the models, but I think this is more of a display piece. Probably not much of a gaming thing. Again, you can pose her differently depending on how you decide to build her up. And here is the kicker. You can have them in 28, 54, and 75. I think that they will end up adding a 32. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They are nice. I will be looking out for them for Babe, Sword, and Bike. Yeah, what else do you need? You gotta wear the weapon out. And not just the weapon. And this is the other concept art for something like a samurai. Cyborg that I'm not really sure where it could fit, but it looks cool. This is probably something that can come into Infinity, and this is something that's definitely for Necromunda. You can see that their Instagram is pretty bare, because that's all there is into it right now. They are also allied with Scale Bro, which is apparently their partner for actually casting the miniatures. So just something that I will be keeping an eye out for future updates, and another source of never-ending gray plastic to put together and paint. In the far, far future, which will probably be somewhat of a dark variety. Oh yeah, pretty cool stuff. The only thing that bugs me is that once again it's gonna be in the form of a Kickstarter, which means I will, if I back the Kickstarter, I will end up getting a lot more stuff than I actually need, and a lot of it is just gonna end up in the ever growing pile of stuff. But I just cannot resist cool stuff. It's stronger than me. Also, did you check out that Willy Miniatures made an update with in regards to their Chaos team? They are throwing in free Ogre and a free Troll in their Chaos team if you buy it now. So yeah, they are adapting very lightning fast, and so considering that their Chaos team is not the newest one. Yeah, essentially they're just taking out the Ogre and Troll from their Chaos Pact, which are still cool. I'm actually thinking about, well, no, because my Chaos team is from RN, but RN also sell separate models. So I'll probably get the troll and the ogre from them. But it's still pretty cool that they did that. And Greba with their orc team also added 2 different poses for black orcs. 2 different sculpts for additional black orcs, so you can build the new orc team as well. Although I know that you don't really fancy the, and neither do I, quite frankly, their orcs, but still. Although with them, it sort of makes sense because this is their latest Kickstarter. I don't even think it's out of. Yeah. I don't think. I think it's still actually not. The Kickstarter is not over itself, so it makes sense for them to make that quick adaptation because they always do release separate sculpts for the pledge manager that you can get. They did so for the Dark Elves as well. You had some extra sculpts for linemen and an extra sculpt for a blitzer. So I expected it from them. I did not expect it from Willy. Although again, Willy is just rehashing models that they already have, but still it's a nice reaction, it's a quick reaction, and it's a logical reaction, so it's a cool thing for people who already own these teams or that are looking into getting these teams. It's pretty cool. And something else came to my mind today. Can you guess which one of our small Blood Bowl group should be the most excited about the team updates? Because I personally think it's gonna be Bobby. Because he's getting halflings into humans, and he loves both halflings and humans. So I think he will be ecstatic about the fact that he can add halflings into something else. That is if they end up keeping that stat line, that roster. Yeah, I know, but maybe that'll get him back into being excited for him. I don't know. He was pretty hyped when we played our game. Granted, that was a hell of a long time ago, but it was again in a period where he stated that he wasn't very much into it. But it came out well, we had fun. Had a fun game. So I think his case is very similar to mine in that you need to be dragged into the situation in order to start enjoying it or something like that. But I just thought of him today about that, and I thought it would be a match made in heaven for him. I told you to remind me about the focus. But it is my bad, so anyway. It's my bad. Oh, okay. Have you Have you played any Russians again recently? That refuse to answer in any other language than their own. Because that was like... The only reaction I had about this was just a deep sigh. I was like, yeah. That is what they do, isn't it? Okay. Almost done with the first layer of the highlights. So not that far to go. That cable can be so much more than what I make it out to be. But I just cannot be bothered to think of what I can do in more creative sense. There has to be a better way to do this. But I haven't found it yet. Of the clickers, but let me see. Oh yeah, exactly. I see what you mean. I think this is what's actually called the spud jack. Focus. I was wondering what it was. I'll probably need to end up actually buying the Necromunda rule books because the big comprehensive guide that Mo gave us, I did print it out, but I lost the digital version. And the digital version was removed from the Yak Tribes website. And printing it out, it lost the pictures. So I have the words, and I know that there is a thing called a spud jack, and I know its stat line, but I have no idea what the hell it is. And apparently it's this. So I might actually have to get the rule books, of which already, even for Necromunda, there are 3 rule books that I need to get just so I can play Goliaths. I really dislike having to buy multiple books for a single game. Not just because of the price creep, but also because of logistical issues while playing. Because the way the indexes work in these rulebooks is horrible, and you need to constantly go over, back and forward in between the books just to find all of the rules pertaining to one particular thing, which during a game is extremely uncomfortable and counterproductive. And I know why they do it when they try to space out their rule updates. But it's annoying as hell. So you need the basic rulebook, the advanced rulebook with possible campaigns, and again, most of the weapon profiles, including... Yeah, true, but that happens over time when you actually have a chance to experiment, to put it into practice, so to speak. Because even if you know the rules, the gameplay itself usually presents scenarios that aren't 100% well explained, and you need to do some digging and piece together rules to make sense of what's happening. And also it hurts your soul a little bit more when a new edition comes out and you need to pretty much scrap all of the books you've collected for this edition. Like in the case of Necromunda, it is like the 3 books, although I need to get 4 because I have the Pelonite Enforcers as well. That will need to get some love at some point. So that will be 4 books that will go out the window once Necromunda gets an update, if it gets an update, but I think it might. And in case of Blood Bowl, it's particularly painful. Now, I haven't really collected all of the Spike magazines, but there are like, what, 10 magazines now? And you have the Almanac, and you have the basic rules, Death Zone 1, Death Zone 2. Like, that's a lot of literature that you have to shelf forever. And that's a little bit disheartening, knowing that it will happen again and again. And also the price point is a bit shitty, but... It's not that it can't be swallowed and that it won't be swallowed, but it's just a little bit harder to do so. But because of the lore and stuff? Yeah, that's also a selling point. Despite the rules, yeah. I was actually waiting for most of them to come out before batch buying them or the release of a second almanac. Yeah, they are written in a very Blood Bowl inspired mood, and they are really fun to go through. I was waiting for another almanac that will cover up. Are they not? Because the almanac covers like the first 3 spikes, I think. Oh, damn it. I guess they either got tired or they were informed about the change and they just stopped investing creative juices. Maintain the quality, considering that if they had known that they will be discontinued. I don't know. Sounds about right. Okay, we're done with this, and now we are going up to the final highlight, and then over to the golds. Oh yeah, the magazines that you used to share with us. Yeah. I got you. Yeah, they were completely different. I remember them. I took a look at some of them. Completely different type of content. I realized something very silly yesterday. Yeah, it was just yesterday. After all these years of collecting orc bits for the Blood Bowl orc team, I realized I don't have any goblins. What gives? Why did I not think of that? So yeah, now I have to look for goblins. No, the goblins that can play for the orc team. Just for the regular orc team. I never thought about having to get the goblins. I was so preoccupied with thinking about sci-fi bits to put into them. Oh, right. And it just completely skipped my mind. And that's after we were... They are non-essential, but they are fun, and I do like their presence in an orc team for at least a couple of reasons. 3 reasons, actually. A, they make shit fun. B, they are an unexpected stunty in between a fairly bash team that can do bullshit around. And 3, of course, you get the the throw a goblin bullshit with the troll, but that's kind of. And we had this discussion with Roro Rimbo a couple of weeks ago, I think, and I was talking about goblins in an orc team because Richard's. True, true. But if you keep one goblin, then you selectively put him on the field, I think it's a fine alternative. But yeah, they do lose what makes them a team with a goblin a little bit. But again, so Richard's team has a goblin, and it has been fairly annoying in the games. And for whatever reason, he actually decided to develop it. So it's now... it has block. So it's a blodging goblin, which is fairly annoying. So that's something I need to give a little bit of thought into. Even if I never field them, I kind of feel like I want to have at least a couple gallows, just for the sake of having them. And the problem comes from the fact that I need to convert them as well. So I'll probably get the GW ones, but I have to get a whole box. So then I have to get the other goblins from Forge World to build up a goblin team. And so you see how bullshit just creeps up, scales up. It is without borders. Truly. Truly. Or measure, indeed. Okay, onward to Runefang's Steeple. Which is going to take a couple of years. Take it. To the point where it's usable, no. Some painters I've seen on streams tend to use electric paint shakers, which I think is going a little bit overboard. Like, I think they're called vortex shakers or something like that. They are for nail polish. Or a monkey, yeah, of course, of course. I should have seen this coming. I should have seen this coming. Yeah, yeah. Something along those lines. Really? I didn't know that. Okay, okay. Oh, so not the centrifuge thing. Right. Yeah, to keep it from coagulating, right? All right. So it's a different beast altogether. Well, the ones they used are for nail polish. Anyway, it's not something I'm gonna be looking into getting, but oh, okay, gotcha. I didn't know it's a separate thingamajigger. Cool. Here is the educational part of the stream. All right. Gotcha. So I was way off on that. Runefang steel is garbage. I like that it's a very bright silver, but it's just so bad to use. the modeling view. So shakies. I think that this time I won't end up washing the metallic bits. I think I managed to build up enough of a highlight depth with just colors. Like 3 levels of highlights should be enough. And they are somewhat distinct. And I'll just hope that the matte varnish deals with the shine on them. And at the end of the day, even if it doesn't, whatever. I will experiment. Like I said, I've been getting some weird results from washes lately. Well, from these that I have over here. They haven't exactly been working the way I expected them to. So let's try to just skip that stage and rely on layering to achieve that effect. I'll probably regret it, but I still want to check it out. I just want to see how it works in the end. I might put just a little bit here and there, like a little bit of sepia for some grease stains on the Spud Jack. Because he looks a little too pristine, a little too clean for a tool that's been actively used. Especially for busting heads and whatnot. On the other hand, I do see how it can benefit us. Either way, I will leave it like this for now. Give it a look. Next time I play around with this model, which will be again off stream, just to finish some stuff up. I'm really getting stuck on these metallics. On metallics in general. Well, not really, but if there's something cool to share, let me know. Yeah? About what? Yeah, I think you mentioned that. I mean, I played StarCraft 1 and 2, but the pro scene, I was never good enough to be part of it. I never gave it enough time to become competitively good. And I don't understand most of it. Most of the pretty much the exploits and stuff that you need to do in order to maintain a level of adequacy. And it was again the way it's relevant. Yeah, I suppose. It is, however, very relevant in our current ongoing discussions and worries and hopes for new additions for Blood Bowl. Because if you remember, every single patch that came out for StarCraft 2 specifically was aimed towards rebalancing the game, and so meta strategies that were in place were getting thrown out the window in a matter of a month or so. Yeah, I'm thinking in general, like the change of meta based on rebalancing and introduction of different stuff. Yeah, well, some are, but very little. But yeah, I get I get the difference. Um, sure. Andy Davo has been talking on multiple occasions about the possibility to make Blood Bowl a like pro competitive sport, well, game. But yeah, I don't think it has the grounds for that. Even if it gets the popularity, it still wouldn't gather that sort of following. The reason I associate the two is because again, a lot of players complained about the way how things were invalidated for their basic tactics and strategies that and I don't mean it in any way like either good or bad. It's just something that came to mind. Because in the case of StarCraft, the second that a new exploit or unbalanced synergy came out, it spread around like wildfire. And it had to be quickly addressed and rectified. but it is very different to apply this to a video game where you can just batch apply the change through a patch and release it as patch notes instead of a full edition of rules. Different outtake on a similar case. Not even gonna call it an issue, it is just a case of a thing that's happening. An instance, if you will. Mayhaps I should have used a smaller brush for this. But it's too late. Lead Belcher is surprisingly shiny for what it is. And surprisingly bright. I remember it being darker as a color. Weird. I'm not gonna highlight that part. Over the course of the last few days. Yo, Dr. Tentacle, what's going on? Hiding from work, yep. Makes sense. Were you able to put together the models that you were building last time? And did you start painting them already? Have you started painting them? Or are you still building them up? What was it? Bellosaurus? Ah, cool. I think Miniac, Fabius Bile, sorry. Yeah. Alright, Agent, thanks. Thank you for dropping by, and have a lovely rest of your evening. He's been here for the whole time, so. It's too late. He left on his daily super secret mission of secrets. Which inks did you end up getting? The Dollar Rowney ones, or is it something else? Oh, Liquitex, okay. Yeah, I gotcha. Because I'm looking around for ideas for inks, as I would like to try my hand at comic book style for one of my Blood Bowl teams. Nice. Okay. And the comic book style does require a fairly reliable black ink for the lining. So I've been thinking mostly about Dollaroni, but I think Liquitex might be easier to get. So if you're saying it's good, I'll take your word for it. Have you managed to attend any other classes? Nah. Shame. Oh, really? That's odd. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, that's what I was wondering about, because I know that you're in IT. Usually, really, when literally everyone is out for the remainder of the summer. I'll never understand that. It's kind of the same at my job, but it's completely irrational and illogical. Oh, so when you're in when you are implementing updates, I think. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Gotcha. How are you treating your metallics? Yeah, because there's no one to say no effectively. Because metallics have been the actual bane of my existence. Alright, I see. Yeah, budget allocations are completely beyond my understanding. Right. Oh, really? It is. This is why I'm putting it back, constantly delaying the inevitable pain. Oh, sure. I mean, whenever you are actually painting. Yeah, that's what I'm trying. What I would like to learn how to do is just keep using the true metallics, but make them look little more focused and not so completely different from the rest of the model. Right. Yeah, that is the thing. It's cool. It is cool, but it completely breaks. Like, you can very much... Sorry, let me just refocus that shit. You can see just how different the metallic pieces look on the model, and that's considering if you were to look at things from a relatively realistic perspective. So the chest plates and all of the red elements are technically metallics, and they are completely different in finish than the true metallics. And that bugs me. And I don't want to go into like undercoating. Well, they should be, as in, I mean, if you were to imagine the thing. Ah, thanks, dude. But yeah, also the camera sort of smudges the shine and the matte together, so you can't actually see how different and tacked on the metallics look if you just put them on there. So I do need to find a way to sort of reduce that contrasting feel, even though we are also always fighting for contrasts, but in this case it's like a surface thing. Yeah, that's the idea, but what is going over so what I've heard both from Brush for Hire and from Maniac and from Jason from Monument, the deal is paint the metallics the way you would a non-metallic, a non-reflective surface, and at the end of the stage slap on a wash. Now, the problem that brings about is twofold. Yeah, that's how I make the base coat, because I want to build up more contrast while painting the metallics, so there is more depth to it. So if you see this guy, this is what I did. Black into metallic medium. And this is the sort of shade part. So it's not the base color, it's effectively what will be in the recesses when I build it over with the other metallics. But it still lacks at the end of the day. And when you slap on the wash, it completely obliterates any subtle changes, while not really affecting the brightest shines that you have. So you don't really eliminate the shiny factor. Yeah, Null Oil for the silver metallics most often, and Reichland Flesh Shade for golds. The black ink. I was thinking about trying the transparent black from Pro Acryl, because I have it already here, and I haven't already. Yeah, I'll thin the shit out of it, don't worry about that, but thing with that happens with both the inks and the transparent paints is that when they do support thinning the hell out of them, but they end up having a glossier sort of satin finish on the surface. Technically not a problem, but practically it sort of doesn't get the thing done the way I would like to. And I have to, at that point, I have to completely rely on the strength of the matte varnish that I put on top. And since I still have to do the two-step varnish, because these are gaming pieces, I still need to first varnish in a satin or a gloss, and then go over with a matte. And I haven't yet found a matte varnish that is able to completely obliterate. Oh god, no. Probably, if I were to mix any medium, it would probably be Lamian medium. Because that would, because it's a matte medium, and it will probably break down the shine. But I don't know how well the medium and the transparent and the Lamian medium would play together. But that's a good idea, actually, using a medium in the transparent. I haven't thought of that. That's a good one. In fact, I might actually try it. Yeah, I do need to get the black ink anyway. Yeah, they've been weird, but they do have their purpose. I've been very happy with the red transparent. Because building up red colors... No, not as glazes. As tints, they are great for tinting. Yeah. So if you wanna put an additional filter, but not as a glaze to build up a color. Oh no, if you so they support a lot of thinning. Like you can really give them, you can really treat them to the point where they're just dirty color water. So at that point, they really aren't as strong. And again, with the red, the great part of it, I've done... No, you can't really see here very well. Because of the stupid color calibration. But what I did with the red is I built it up into orange to get the extreme highlights. And then I went with the transparent red so that it would mute the orangeness and bring out the bring it back into the red spectrum. And it worked really well. Again, you're probably seeing it more orange than it actually is because of the bullshit color correction. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, that was built up all the way into an orange. And then with the red, with the transparent red, I brought it back into the reds. So you can go you can actually achieve a very bright red color without actually having to have a physical very bright red color. Because they only do go so far. If you want really stark highlights on the red, you either gotta go orange or pink. And I don't like either of those, unless that's something I'm going for. I mean, it worked well for me. If you have something to try it on, it would be cool. The contrast medium stuff, I just haven't really tried anything contrast related. And it's probably something I need to look into at some point. Contrast medium with contrast paints. It for what to it? Okay. For shades. Alright. Interesting. Right. That's cool. Yeah, it's kind of a less dirty shade that you can use, a less dirty wash that you can use for thin shading or filtering. That's interesting. I do want to exhaust the options with the resources I currently have before jumping into even more stuff. So Epic Duck had a very interesting saying about the contrast. He said that they work great, just not in the way that they are supposed to. So for other applications, they would work great, just not in the way that GW themselves suggest using them. And I've seen James Waffle use contrasts to fairly good effect. And also Epic Duck's version, he uses it as a reverse engineer for a comic style effect. So instead of building up all of the colors and then do the black lining for the harsh shadows that are specific to the comic book style, he does the opposite thing. He paints the model in a white primer, then does the harsh black lining, and then goes with the contrast. And because they are transparent, the black lining remains fairly untinted, and the whites get, and it's a very quick way to achieve that effect. So that's an option, but I'm not gonna buy a whole separate paint range just for a single team or a single effect to use. So pretty much out of the way, but it's a very interesting alternative. Now, what did I not highlight here? I think we're done with the damn silvers. So onwards to gold. I will, however, be playing with that. But that is a good idea, so I will definitely try the Lamian medium with transparency. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Exactly. Good. So what? Not at all. This Balthazar gold, and what will for final highlights? Rich gold or white? Bright white. I think rich gold will be enough. D. But yeah, metallics are definitely the bane of my existence right now. I'm sort of okay-ish with playing around with the non-metallic stuff. As in, not so much as the result, but just it does what I intended to do, if that makes sense. Whereas metallics sort of keep surprising me, and in a not particularly good way. So I don't really feel I control the actual thing that I do, which is annoying. Also, I think that there's something wrong with the washes I use lately, the Citadel ones. They've started going very goopy very quickly on the palette. Maybe it's because they're old. Maybe, I don't know. They have been giving me problems. Especially the red, the crimson one. I've been thinning them down with Lamian medium, and what I got was a very pale outcome, which is very unusual for a wash. Yeah, I'm trying to get out of that mentality to use washes. Yeah. The reason I went for washes for this project in particular was because I wanted to kill a lot of the saturation from the flesh tones, and thus creating a contrast through saturated and so rich and pale colors, or dirty and muted colors. And I wanted, well, hoped that a good wash at the end stage for the flesh would be a quick, cheat way to go down in terms of saturation. But what it did is just it destroyed 70% of my color buildup. So color transitions and variations within the flesh. It just murdered the hell out of all of them. So apparently that is not the way to go. But I'm already 5 models in, so... have to think of something else. Well, firstly, it looks very cool. So I like a lot of the models. The ratio between hit and miss for models in terms of how appealing they are to me is a lot more towards cool, where it is not for. Also, one of our local gaming group suggested it, as he already had bought the starter with the Goliaths and the Escher. And I wanted the Goliaths anyway, and he already had decided to make the Eschers, so it was very organic. Turned out very... haven't seen the Forge World ones, but the Raging Heroes version is... you mean, yeah, Raging Heroes. Yeah, they are insanely cool. Exactly. I love them. I love them so much. So that's pretty much how it came about, and naturally, one thing led to another, so I now have a bunch of Goliaths and Palonite Enforcers. But I haven't gotten down to the Palonites yet, and won't do so for a significant while. Oh yeah, no worries. There are so many bloody manufacturers nowadays. Also, Necromunda screams cyberpunk at me, and that is a great weakness of mine. As a matter of fact, you weren't around when I showed it off, but there is another miniatures. Well, not yet manufacturer, so they are still in concept stage. I don't know if it came up in any of the other streams, but I got around to see them. They're called Dark Future Creations. Let me show you what they got so far, because their Instagram only has like 6 pics for now. What did I say? Dark Future. So even from the logo, you can already see how this is up my alley. And this is their concept art. For models, especially this one. There is the preliminary sculpt. Yeah, it very much got inertia for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but right now even Paul B, who's always been into more of a classic painting style, made some Necrons using synthwave colors. So it's been going around for a while. Yeah, with the pinkish overtones. Defo. So what brought these guys to my attention was the fact that this guy in particular looks extremely Goliathy. And in the game structure of Necromunda, you do have a model that represents something like a leader. So I will definitely be looking into getting something like this. It's just a single model in the gang that is obviously different enough to be recognized as a leader. And so the kit will be coming in various options for assembly. So lots of weapons, lots of heads to play around and put together. So again, from the concept art, you get this guy, and then the same sculpt can be made into the guy that you see with the two weapons. And of course, if you're into display models, you get this beautiful piece, the chick with the hover bike or whatever it is. Again, with multiple versions. And also, as you can see here in the description, you can choose the scale in which you would like them printed or cast. Not really sure how it will go about, but you can choose 28, 54, or 75 mil. I suppose they will change 28 to 32 because very few things use 32 mil anymore. And the one thing that bugs me is that all of this will be coming out in the form of a Kickstarter. As we all know, you get to a Kickstarter, you end up ordering 50 billion times more stuff than you actually want or need. But I suppose it's gonna be yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. They never mentioned if this is going to be the start of the... this is something very important for Kickstarters, in my opinion, to make it very clear whether or not this will be a one-off thing or it will be fueling a line of models. Yeah, that's a common thing. But when there's something so cool, I'm powerless against cool. I'm sorry. It's more powerful than me. Yesterday I got the pledge manager for the Wolfenstein board game. Yeah, of course, me too, but things have just been such lately that getting something instantly is becoming less and less of a possibility. I was just complaining to Agent Orange that the current stocking of various stores is abysmal, like with most of the people moving into online stores. Even the physical ones have a online version of them, and their actual physical stock in the store has become very, very limited. So anything particular that you want, you end up having to order online. And around here, deliveries for anything are a minimum of 2 weeks. Like, no matter what you do, it's just gonna be at least 2 weeks. So the concept of instant gratification sort of evaporates with that. Although I am completely on board with you that it's 1,000 times better to just go to your local store, get what you want, and just instantly get it. And also take the opportunity to have a chat with someone over there. But that's just getting harder and harder nowadays. And it's not just Corona related, it's just how the business is moving on. Which is why you usually end up overstocking with stuff just because you can at this particular moment, so that you have something to keep you going. Like, consumer-wise. Like I mentioned, I've backed a Kickstarter for a board game that will be 5 kilograms of plastic and cardboard. I have no idea what I'm gonna do for it. With it. And it's gonna come around this time next year. But honestly, in terms of Kickstarters, I do prefer it when they give a longer delivery schedule rather than give a short one and then fail to deliver. I did end up backing the Frag and Unicorns one, the sort of Shadowrun inspired Under Gangs of the Undercity. And their estimate for delivery is in December of this year. Considering that even there is still one more week until the Kickstarter is running, I have no idea how they are going to keep this, keep these timelines. That sounds insane to me, and that's going to lead to a lot of problems. Considering that they are still building on concepts, on concept designs and preliminary casts, and introducing new gangs and new models and new rules. How all of that is gonna come together, shipped and delivered by December, by the end of December, I really don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I've mentioned it. Oh yeah. Updates are going good. It's just that the timelines that they've said about delivery are a bit cray-cray. Yeah, anything that even remotely resembles Shadowrun is a must-have for me. The concept of cyberpunk arcana setting is just so cool. So again, just stocking up on stuff when I will ever get to do anything about any of that. No idea. Even these Goliaths that I've been painting for... When did I start them? Oh shit! Why aren't you telling me that the focus went to hell? Around April-ish? That's okay. Thanks. No, I'm trying this thing with manually recalibrating the focus, depending on whether there's a model on the screen or not. Because of my nearsightedness, I really can't paint with my forearms on the painting table. I have to keep the model like higher up and closer to my face. And so, yeah, the ones with the extra lights that I was about to say slow fuse. That Brush for Hire uses are definitely appealing. Yeah, brush. I meant brush. And Kathy from Kathy Wapple and Captain Madlove. Yep. It's definitely an option. Either way, the reason I brought this up is that when so focus like this, it's alright, like it's tolerable, it's fixed, there is a decent margin to move it in depth without losing too much focus. However, when the model is not in view, because there is so much height difference between the model and the table, what you end up seeing when there's not a model in view is just a big smudge of my work desk. So for now, I'm just gonna be switching between fixed and automatic focus camera. But definitely, it's a valid point that you're making about the magnifying stuff. Although they do come out pretty far in the front, and considering the distance that, well, you can see the distance between my head and the camera on the face cam. That's gonna lead to a lot of bashing the camera with my forehead. But you know, we're trying. Also trying to keep the model in view while I'm playing around with the palette, to avoid the need to recycle the different focus modes. Which is also making an issue because I'm throwing shade with the model on the palette, and I can barely see what it is that I'm doing color-wise. But these are minor inconveniences to get over. I've also tried to crank up the output of the Paintingcam to the 1080p that it supposedly supports, and today is the first time that I'm doing this. So I have no idea if it registers. What, the cranking up the camera? So when you choose, so you've added, are you, oh well, no. You're not using OBS, are you? You said you're using Stream Elements? But I suppose it's similar. When you open the properties of the source that's linked to your camera, you should get some options and settings to mess around with, and depending on what kind of camera you've connected, you should be able to choose the output. And then from the settings of the stream setting of the actual streaming software, you should be able to give it the original output. So I can tell you in OBS, it's from settings, output, streaming, was it streaming? Video, actually. So settings, video, and you have base canvas resolution and output scaled resolution. So the base canvas resolution, it is what the camera picks up on the computer, and the output scaled resolution is how much you're pushing on through the stream itself. And usually the idea is that you want your canvas to be higher resolution than your output, because downscaled resolutions compress less than equal or upscaled, meaning that you get a better result. Again, I haven't tried this. Currently it's equals, so the base canvas is the same as the output. But I gotta check out the VOD after the stream to see if that actually has any effect. Also, because it's a good old Logitech C920, if it goes into the 1080 range, 1080p range, it has to drop down to 30 frames per second. So even if the picture might be a little crisper, the motion will be a little bit shittier. But considering we're doing slow, meticulous, painstaking brushstrokes, I don't think that's gonna be much of an issue. Although a 60 frames per second view is instantly noticeable and much more appealing to the eye. So, but that is the extent that my hardware can manage for the time being. So there is still a lot to play around with the settings. But trying out stuff, slowly getting there. And as you can see, based on the overall viewership, I am mostly doing this for myself. Like, just the satisfaction of managing to squeeze the maximum out of what you have available. And there is still some fulfillment. This is So, are you looking in the options for the camera or the streaming software itself? Yeah, being first or second. Capture device, okay. Right, so in that case, I noticed your stream, so I think you are already recording and outputting at the maximum that your camera allows. So you can go into the options of the actual streaming software, like from file options, whatnot. And into your overall video options and try to look at it for this canvas and scale resolutions. If you've already maxed it, then you've already maxed it. Because I can't go over 1920 by 1080. Yeah, that's a little bit safer, I think. I have seen some streams that run at 60 frames, and it does look, you know, the same way that the difference of motion perception that you get when you get a nice. Okay, crank it up to 11. Why not? Just take a look if, like, in the specifications of the camera itself. Now, it'll be fine, I'm sure. But just take a look at the specifications of your camera if it can do both. Like, if it can support 1080p at 60. Like, it won't burn out if you set it. It just won't work at 60. Fair enough. Technology is our slave until Skynet changes things. Oh, nice. Would you mind sharing what it is? Oh, the C920. Wait, C920 can't do both. Come on. Yeah, that's so mine is the C922. Yeah, 1080 and 30 exactly. That's what I'm running. You can go 720 and push it to 60, but you can't go 1080 60. Again, it's not gonna break anything. It's just gonna keep outputting it at 30. Well, Mark said that the Brio can support 1080 60, so I think that might be something to look into, unless you want to go into like actual cameras and shit. But then you have to play around with capture cards, and it's a completely different price range and whatchamacallits. The dumb thing about Logitechs, and something that I have no idea why they never fix up, is the drivers. Why? Oh yeah, okay. So in case you can pick up a capture card, you should be good to go. Nice, yeah. Full usage out of your stuff. Oops, sorry, that's a little bit too audible. By the way, audio-wise, is my voice peaking too much? Because it does go into the red every now and again. Okay, cool. Okay, good, good. I'm looking at the monitors here every now and again. Is this such a weird color? That's cool. And that is just the mic from the C922. I just put a bunch of filters on it through the streaming software. Yeah, you can actually really tweak it out to a very decent performance for what it is. Oh yeah, me too. I think that's a common thing with everyone. Like, everyone hates hearing their voice for whatever reason. I had a buddy of mine had to do a recording for work, and he was like, "Dude, how do you do it? Like, I can't stand this." Yeah, you get used to it. Yeah, if you haven't put any filters on the mic, you might look into that. Another option that I'm looking into, and I might actually get, is a fairly cheap wireless clip-on mic. I think I've seen very good results, and it can help with, let's say, game streaming, that I don't have to have this thing sticking into my forehead again when I'm playing games. And also, it won't affect the distance from the mic, so when I'm leaning over to get paints or something else, so if it changes the difference from the mic. Because you don't need to go all Blue Yeti and shit, that's just bullshit. And it's like 30 bucks, maybe less, the wireless mic. And it's just a clip-on with a USB in the computer, in the PC, and just let it rip. Yeah, I don't know what that is emanating from. I don't know the actual reasoning behind this, like the brain. I think it's because the acoustics in your own head are different, like very I don't know, because it's a denser surface on the inside, but it's still a confined space. There is some space in it. Damn, that focus. Yeah, that's the only thing about switching between focuses, is that you forget to do it. You're a freaking dumbass. Well, I am a freaking dumbass for forgetting. Something I have picked up on metallics, although I very rarely get to work on a surface where I can apply it, is something I call the sandwich effect. That makes a nice metallic, well, reflectively percepted effect, which is you alternate highlights with shadows. So you put a highlight, and right under the highlight you put a deeper shadow, and then instead of going a deeper shadow, you go up to something like a mid-tone. And it's very poor and basic, but if you're doing like a larger surface, it really gives the impression for the metallic right away. And I did that for the troll on his chain, just with metallics and a wash, like a layered wash, and it kind of worked. If you squint your eyes, it almost looks like it's supposed to. So when I'm actually working on larger surfaces, I'm gonna build up on that. Yeah, just believe. Yeah, just have a page of explanations for your model. Like, write down, this is metallic. I know it doesn't look like it, but just trust me. And you do this for each and every detail. That'll work. And everyone loves reading. Where are golds? Oh yeah, yeah. They do suffer from that weird GW effect where it's a bit hard to actually, I don't know, get their feel. But they're very decent, yeah. Like most of the Necromunda, like I said, most of the Necromunda shit is pretty good. Even the Cawdor, the hobos of the Necromunda world look friggin' awesome, like some deranged cultists, which they technically are. If you've ever looked at a comic surrounding a very cool character called the Redeemer, who is a fanatic leader of one of the Cawdors, it's such a fun read, for fuck's sake, it's amazing. One of the best characters Games Workshop has produced. In my opinion, of course. Yeah, probably this is why they got the they got to be in the starter set. The Pelonites are also very cool, which is why I got them. The Venators are a little bit generic, but they also have their cool bits and pieces. Vansar have a cool concept that's a little iffy on the realization, but it's cool in concept. So maybe when they get some more dudes, they'll build up on that. And also another cool thing about Necromunda as a whole is that it's the corpse grinders, yeah. they are cool, but you need to take it with a pinch of salt when you need to immerse them in the Necromunda universe. They look a little bit out of place. Yeah, with the vices, with their heads in vices and shit. Yeah, yeah. So the cool thing about it is that it's a very cinematic and not really competitive game. So essentially, you just try to get your shit to look as cool as possible, put it on a very cool. I have no idea. Like, I've literally uh, just glazed over the rules, so I have a bare understanding of what I'm doing in terms of putting the dudes together, and that's about it. Like, my lore knowledge of the game is minuscule. I know these guys work in some forges, and that's I know the events are sort of poisoned, which is why they have these sci-fi suits on. And I know that the Venators are bounty hunters, and that is it. I don't even know what the Escher's deal is. Because I'm waiting for a little bit more. I'm waiting to be pulled a little bit more into the game itself and actually have some ready models along the way. So I have something done on the side that I can actually play with, and then in between sort of fuel my interest for the game by feeding on lore and some additional game rules and stuff like that. Also, even the test game is very far into the future in sight, so we'll get there when we get there. Gotta finish up our Blood Bowl League first. And then we have to deal with changes in the new edition for Blood Bowl. We gotta see if we'll be able to implement them. We gotta see how that will affect the... No, not yet. They're currently just leaking, air quotes, because they are all coming from GW itself. To sort of scope out reactions, early onset reactions for the changes. But the 2016 edition came out in November, and if they're going to stick to a regular release cycle, which unfortunately I think is what they will start doing for this game, I'm expecting it somewhere around November. So close, but not too close. Not too soon. However, this will very much affect a lot of things. This new edition. It's changing a lot of the rules, a lot of the stat lines, a lot of the team rosters. It's introducing a lot of teams, and I've mentioned this before, but after GW initially discontinued Blood Bowl, the fans took over and created the NAF, which is a global organization that supports the hobby, supports the game, and organizes these huge once-a-year tournaments, and also provides a tournament finder, supports local groups and all that. And they've pretty much taken and have been rejiggering the rules for the last decade, ever since GW discontinued their support for the game. And so this drastic change is going to affect a lot of things. A lot of the softwares that were put into place so that we can manage our leagues online, so that also there was a badge that you can try and get from the NAF if you've... it also keeps a sort of a ELO, like a chess statistics on wins and losses and all that stuff. And now it all goes away. I have no idea how fast they will be able to integrate this into their infrastructure. Yeah, apart from that, the actual changes to the game so far, from what I've seen, are fairly good. Like, the roster changes are interesting. The new teams are interesting. Not all the models that they've previewed are good, but oh well. the third-party companies that are producing miniatures for Blood Bowl are reacting very quickly. So already 2 manufacturers have reacted to the roster changes for their existing teams and have made the modifications so that you can get the same stylistic models that are different, which is good. I actually didn't expect them to react so fast. It's not really a Halloween, but yeah, that's how they made it work. That's probably their least good team so far in terms of... So the ghosts that you see used to be ghost knights. So they used to be whites, which made a lot of sense rules-wise. And now that they're replaced with these armless ghosts that are supposed to be very hard-hitting units, is a bit weird. The flash golems look amazing though, especially the one on the lower left, the one with the open brain, with the open skull. That he looks very cool. The other version is a little derpy. The wolves I'm not really keen on anyway, but yeah, the Necro team is cool. Used to be very competitive. I can't really say now that with the changes how it will be, but it's definitely up there. That we're about to see. The new human team that they released is just so funny. They've really gone overboard with oversaturation with detail, and it's mental. So I don't know how familiar you are with the old world Warhammer Imperial faction, but they used to have these huge feathers on their heads, and that's what they transferred to these noble humans. And they look ridiculous. One of the models has a eagle perched on its arm, and that eagle has not 1, 2 medals that are in its beak. Like, that is a detail on top of a detail on top of a detail, double time. It's just ridiculous. But if you trim that off, they're pretty fine. Also, another problem with the changes is that the changed stat lines and the changed rules around the stat lines need to be applied to a few teams that are not GW sanctioned. So the NAF allows a few other teams to play. So there are 3 unofficial teams in the rosters, and these teams will need to get rejiggered somehow in order to have a valid playstyle in the new edition. And nobody knows whether or not that'll happen. So, actually, the team that I'm about to paint is one of those, the Bretonians. So I might be painting something that can never be played again. So, looking forward to that. I was planning to take it to next year's Euro Bowl. Probably not gonna happen. We'll see. Well, no, for the tournament that's gonna be next year, this is actually the postponed one from this year. So I am 99% sure that it will use the old rules, at the very least, because most people, so all of the people that were going to participate anyway, have already paid their fees to participate, and they have paid them based on the expectation that they will be playing this particular rule set. So they're not gonna change that for this tournament. That's for sure. But above and beyond that, nobody knows. because this other human team that I mentioned with the birds and the feathers, it sort of emulates the Bretonians in playstyle. So I think that GW is trying to give us a alternative to that team while not making a carbon copy of it. So that's gonna be a weird. It's gonna be a weird time. But again, realistically, the changes are good. Problem is, they're shaking the boat too much. And there are a lot of, because of their lack of support for a decade, there are a lot of things that are stringed together that need to catch up. And that's gonna be a difficult thing considering it's a thing that's been built for a decade. Anyway, so what do I have left on this guy apart from cleanup? I think we're good actually. I need to wash the base. These canisters need a little love. Quick painting. Get it done. Very quickly, like. Sup, Borak? I'm doing fine. How about you? First time coming along? Sadly, is a stark contrast to all the Blood Bowl talk. I'm actually painting Necromunda shit, so if that misled you, I am sorry. I'm just gonna paint up these little canisters here and I'll call it a night. Nice. I actually quite enjoy the heat myself. But there is a line. There is a level of heat beyond which it gets real, so I got you. Oh yeah, 37 degrees is... Yeah, it is over the line. Yeah. For all the crazy that's been going on this year, at least the summer is a real fucking summer. With all of the goods and the bads. It would have been so cool if my hand did snap. I didn't paint this stupid rivet green. Anyway, chops. What chops? Hey, thanks for the follow, dude. Will welcome to the journey of an absolutely average amateur. Oh yeah, okay. So oh, definitely not, dude. Like the camera makes things look a lot better than they are. It adds a layer of it blends the colors together somewhat more than the reality shows. Aww. Thanks, guys. It is really appreciated. It is, however, the tagline for the stream, so I'm gonna keep to it. But thanks anyway, like for real. And yeah, Dr. Tentacle actually, when I saw that, and that is why I'm constantly asking you about the painting classes that you attend, because that little dude that you painted with the blending when we talked about sketching highlights and stuff, that is very good. Like that blend is something I really want to see developed, and it's so cool, and it's kind of pushed me to try and go for that. The little brown dude that you painted it. Yeah, the orange one, yeah. Orange, brown, yeah. Because that's an effect that you usually get with an airbrush, with such consistency over the whole surface. And getting it brushed done is cool. Nice. Goes to show. Such a huge community. Do you play stuff, Borak? Like, your name implies, in my own stupid head, it implies Lord Borak, so, which is why I made the assumption that you're into Blood Bowl. Oh, that's so cool. My assumption was spot on about the model. Cool. Have you tried... So I think they released a new Borak Mini. Do you think it would be a fun experiment to sort of... If you still have the old Mini, to get the new one painted with all of the skills and experience you've built up over time and make a comparison. So old model with... Oh, that's cool. So yeah, if that sparkles your fancy in any way, I think that would be a very cool thing to do. Actually, let me see if they have the new Borak. Because I'm obviously done with painting for today. Like, I'm sorry that you came around at about the quitting time. That got me interested. He just smokes. Dude, you came around at the 2.5 hour mark. Like, I've been doing stuff. For real. I promise. Stuff that involve color and plastic. Let me just see what the new Borak look like. Because I do have a Chaos team. Yeah, I guess. I might need to get myself a star player for them. Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl. Oh, heroes are Forge World. Okay. Ooh, 19 pounds for a model. Forge World, you never cease to amaze. Yeah, just a second. Ah, there it is. Ooh. Bit on the derpy side. There you go. Tentacle. And let's bring it up to stream. I thought he had a ball. He's actually just giving a thumbs up. Yeah, I just noticed it. Because I was confused with the sculpt for the Mighty Zug, where he keeps in this space he usually keeps a ball, and I didn't notice that it's actually a thumbs up. Nice. So yeah, for real, if there's been a lot of time that's gone on the in-between, I think that this might be a nice like nostalgia trip with a twist into the new. Cool little project to do. Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, just didn't want to assume. Oh, he comes with a token. Cool. Key features. I want you to take a look at the key. How can this be a key feature of a model? One of Blood Bowl's most infamous star players. Is there a unpainted? Okay, there is. Yeah, pretty fine actually. Because for whatever reason, the Forge World paint jobs, I'm not sure if it's, again, the heavy metal team that's painting them. But especially for Blood Bowl, some of their paint jobs have been doing the sculpts a little bit of a disservice. So the Red Ogre is an actually pretty cool model, but the paint job that they gave him made him look pretty derpy. And the same thing with Carla. Yeah, it looks sloppy, but when you look into it, you can see it's very deliberate, and there is a lot going on there. But if you look at it from a distance, on the first run, sometimes they look a bit naffy. You can see Carla, like the features of the model, so the sculpt of the face. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. These are very niche sideline projects. But if you take a look at Carla's face, the sculpt has a lot thinner lines itself. So it's the paint job that gives her this somewhat puffy look. And again, I dare to say that it's more complicated style than the heavy metal, specifically for the face. They gave her eyeshadow and this here transition into the chin, into the cheekbones. So there is a lot of work into it, but the effect is very weird, somehow off. On the other hand, you can see the cool blue here that's been done very well with the rust streaks and whatnot. So I don't know, hit or miss in different places. Yeah, here is the actual model. I don't know. Maybe it's just my perception of it. Either way, guys, I do wholeheartedly thank you for joining me for this painting stream, which, yeah, the sculpt is cool. I actually have the model here. Today we didn't really do that much stuff, but this is where we're at. This is the last time I'll be working on him on stream. I'll probably finish him up on Thursday or something when I get some extra time, because it's just a couple of washes and oh, thanks, really. No, you're gonna make me blush, dude. So, next time, I will be working on the supposed leader of the gang. This dude, and we'll be playing around. No, just the base. Because I am very not creative for basing. And these are the bases that they come with, so I didn't really do anything to it except put some paint on it. I'm gonna put some highlights and some washes on the base, but nothing really that's interesting in any way, shape, or form to see. So, no. I'll treat the metallics like we spoke. I'm gonna put some Lamian medium into the black transparent and see how that goes. And that is pretty much it. So the next time you'll be seeing this guy, it'll be in his completed form. So for next time, which will be on Monday, I'll be working on this guy, starting off with the flesh tones, trying to build up from a darker underlying shadow tone that you can already see. So this is not the mid-tone, this is the darkest that he's gonna be. And so on and so forth. So again, thank you very much for joining. As usual. Yeah, they're cool for flesh. It's a lot of detail and a lot of and it's not a lot of the flesh itself. See you, dude, and as usual, keep doing what you love and loving what you do. I've been Bachacolio, signing out. Bye, guys. Bye.